you guys spoke a bit, or the crew yesterday spoke a bit about like the Bullet and Vala bikes being kind of a blank canvas to a degree. Do you feel like that? Like, do you ever feel like you truly have a blank canvas, or like you're starting from scratch with all the stuff that you've done and accumulated, or are you able to kind of fast track that, maybe that rough in process at the start and then get down to the finer details quicker? Or do you feel like you have to have, like with each project, is there a slower part where you're kind of gnashing your teeth before you get into the testing and the fine tuning?
Yeah, I think like at the beginning of each project, there's like I'll make like a suspension product brief. Okay. And basically that's like a general, honestly, like sometimes it's like literally me like drawing curves in like Microsoft Paint.
Yeah.
But basically, whatever bike we're working on, a lot of that has to do with our past experiences, right? So it's like, it's pretty, like I wouldn't say that we ever like start a project that it's like total like blank slate. We're gonna try some super wacko leverage curve that nobody's ever, like it's never really like that. It's like we've kind of been like sharpening the point and like trying to get closer and closer with each project
each time,
to what we like. So typically we'll start with something that's like an evolution. Doesn't matter if it's VPP, 4-bar, like the ride quality is what we're looking at, and it's all just, at the end of the day, it's all numbers, right? Like a kinematic is numbers. It's not, doesn't matter if it's a 4-bar or a VPP bike, it's how close you can get to the numbers you think are ideal. So typically it's not like a start over scenario. It's like, this worked well in the past, maybe this didn't. Let's try this to see if it gets us closer.
Gets us closer. So I'll ask a question of you that I've debated with a bunch of my mountain bike buddies when we're hanging out. Do you feel like we've hit peak mountain bike? Like I'm getting to the point now where like I'm an older rider, and I remember the clunkers that I rode, you know, when suspension first came out. I think about those bikes now, and I'm blown away that I didn't break my bike in half every week. Like I'm actually kind of blown away at how, if I step back, like modern mountain bikes are just phenomenal. You're looking at it from a much more granular level maybe at times.
Sure.
But do you feel like where do we go? Where do you guys go? Like how are we going to take these bikes that are so amazing, and 2-3 years from now be sitting here going, man, like this is even more amazing than the last thing? And is that something you guys even think about, or is it more just one day at a time, like let's tackle this challenge and just keep refining? Or do you guys step back and go, man, like what's next?
Yeah, I think like as you get close, like I would say, like I talked earlier about like the thing that is the most limiting will always like rise to the top. There's always like a certain something that we're focused on in terms of improving. I think once that barrier is removed, then other things will start to rise to the top in terms of your problems.
So there's always something.
Yeah, so like for example, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or so, we were really struggling with high anti-squat and pedal kickback. Like all these bikes were feeling harsh, and it was like, fuck, like how do we get these bikes to track decently and not feel like your feet are blowing off the pedals going over bumps? And so like anti-squat was a huge thing, and we had a couple of generations of bikes that were focused on lowering the anti-squat. Once we did that, other things like anti-rise and details with leverage curve, it's like kind of a ongoing thing that's never ending. And I think as soon as you remove like the thing that's most apparent to you when you ride the bike as a limitation, then other things will just continue to rise to the top.
Yeah, cool. Like, would you guys feel that changes in other areas of technology, like for me, for instance, I noticed yesterday when I rode the Bullet, this my first chance to ride like a properly bedded in set of Maven brakes, and they're quite good. And I almost was like, wow, like I could almost ride this bike slightly differently because of how much braking power they have, right?
Yeah, totally.
Which for a larger bike rider, I'm pretty stoked on.
Yeah, same.
Does that stuff, like, would the improvement in a braking system be significant enough for you guys to actually look at the bike and go, well, now that this is happening, like the braking power is catching up with the speed that an e-bike can do, for instance, or the weight of an e-bike, I guess, more to be more precise. Like, does it ever affect what you guys do? Like, do you guys, like, tire changes, improvements in rubber? Like, do you guys go back to the drawing board and go, oh man, now we can get a little more of what we want because something else has caught up to where we're at? Or is it too incremental?
In terms of frame design, I'm not really sure if, I don't know. Like, I think there's things like brakes that have, like, historically been, like, maybe a limiting factor that are becoming no longer a limiting factor, which is great. I wouldn't say that influences us a ton when it comes to the frame design or, like, the rest of the spec.
You guys don't feel like you're really ever having to make concessions to the general level of technology in the bike industry? Like, it's, you guys just have your objectives and you know that if you spec it well, those objectives will be carried out, type thing? Yeah,
I think as long as we're thinking about what we want and what the bike is intended for. Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't really know how to answer that one.
Yeah, that's maybe a bit of a vague question, I guess, and, you know, all I think about it, but I find it something I think about a lot, where I'm like, man, like the suspension, for instance, that's on an e-bike now compared to even 5 years ago, fork changes and stuff like that. I'm like, this is making my heavy, stiffer bike even better for me.
Yeah.
And I guess I look at it and I kind of go, well, you guys must ride them and feel the same thing. So then you're kind of like, okay, well, sweet, we can just keep on pushing the envelope because that's what everybody's trying to do.
Yeah. I think a lot of on the component side of things, it can really obviously make or break your experience. Like a really amazing frame or amazing linkage, whatever, doesn't really, it's not really allowed to, like, fully shine if your shock sucks or, like, your brakes don't work very good, or it's like all those improvements in the industry definitely obviously create the bike riding experience to be better.
Yeah. So if you go and ride and you get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I know what I need out of this shock, do you then interface with, say, someone at Fox or Rock Shocks and say, hey, like, this is what we want?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of back and forth.
That is kind of where I was going. Like, will they ever come back to you and go, yo, Kiran, like, your plan is ridiculous. Like, we did our own testing and we think it should be this way? Or, like, do you ever run into, like, pushback on what you guys are trying to achieve from the vendors? Or they kind of understand your process enough to go, yeah, okay, we get it?
I think at this point we have a good enough relationship with those guys to where, like, it's also rare where I'm, like, definitively like, hey, I need this, like, end of story. Like,
right.
It's never like that. It's always some sort of learning experience. Like, you know, we try and, like, I have my own ideas, let's say, of, like, maybe what would address the issue that I'm feeling. But I also rely heavily on the tuners to guide me in that respect as well. So, like, if the shock is not doing something that I want it to do, of course I would tell them that, and based on my own tuning experience, I could say, I don't know, maybe grow the diameter of the pivot shim or something. Right. And I would bounce that off the tuner and he'd be like, oh, we could try that, or maybe this would be another option. Maybe we would look at some dyno curves. It's just kind of more like a free thinking sort of, like, exercise more than it is like, this needs to be how it is, and that's what I need from you guys. Can you deliver or not? Kind of
cool. Yeah. Cool. That'd be a fun conversation to be a part of, I think. What's the bike right now that you're the most stoked on? Like, what are you riding these days that you can tell us about that you're kind of having the biggest smile on your face?
Think about that.
You probably got more than one bike.
We have a bunch of bikes that we're working on right now. Yeah. Actually, like basically from next week till, like, fall is, like, going to be absolutely insane for me. There's just, like, so many projects stacked up.
Cool.
But I would say, like, the work that we're doing on the Bullet, like, we're making a lot of, we're using the Bullet platform to continue the development of the kinematics of 4-bar. So there's a bunch of links kicking around that we're playing with, and yeah, there's a couple of links right now that are pretty good. I think that we're trying out.
Cool. I'm excited to see what comes. I think we're pretty good time-wise here. We can probably let you get back to real life now.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks for giving us a quick insight into things, and yeah, thanks for having us and letting us check all this out. It's a good thing to nerd out and just know that you guys are also nerding out.
Yeah, totally. Always. It's all we do.
Yeah, I like it. Just super nerding. I like it. Sweet, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fun.
We'll catch you next time.
Cool.
Ciao.
Sounds good.